Hello there, Razzle48 here, bringing you another video on Blazblue Cross Tag Battle. I've got a lot to cover in this video. This isn't just some trailer or something. The first playable demo was released in New York Comic-Con this weekend. It's technically still going tomorrow. Sunday will be the last day. Excuse me. But we've got the first footage of the game. We've got like the first playtest build of the game. And I wanted to go over it all with you. This is going to be a long video discussing everything that we've discovered over the past few days, ever since like Wednesday or Thursday. And we're going to be talking about roster size. We're going to be talking about game mechanics. We're going to be talking about music. We're going to be talking about the whole 9 yards. So the very first piece of gameplay was actually a leaked match that was directly recorded from the game. It's no like video of a phone video recording the screen. It's actually like game captured gameplay. A leaked match of Ruby and Ragna versus Jin and Ruby. And this match came about like a day or two before the first day of New York Comic-Con. Everyone got on it, everyone analyzed it, and I'm here to do the exact same thing. I've already seen all of this stuff, so there's unfortunately going to be no reacting. I'm going to see if I can react to the next reveal trailer, by the way. And speaking of which, I would like to share my personal opinion that I believe that the next reveal trailer will be on October 20th. It seems that all of the Blazblue Cross Tag Battle news seems to be dropping on the third Friday of each month. So that's my hypothesis. If it proves to be correct, then I think that that is the pattern that we can expect from now onwards. But we won't know about that till then. Let's dive right into this Ruby. It was classified as a Ruby gameplay trailer. I don't know about that. It was not directly uploaded by Arc System Works. I found it, I first saw it on uploaded by MurderofBirds. I'll probably have a link to their channel or this video that I saw down in the description below. Yeah, I'm going to try to link in the description below all of the videos that I look at and analyze here, so you can go watch them cleanly if you want, because there's a lot of footage that I want to dive into. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started here. Yeah, so the very first thing that you're going to notice is that the Ruby's theme is Red Like Roses Part 2 from Ruby. I only know this because I looked into it, and yeah, this is her theme in the game. This wasn't just for this bit of gameplay. This is a selectable song in the game. It's her default song. I personally don't like it, but whatever. It's going to be there. The stage still looks as good as it always has. And here we go right here with Ragna and Ruby like appearing, and then Ruby does her intro pose, and then Ragna steps out. And at first this was disappointing to me, because Ruby didn't actually say anything to Ragna or to her opponent before the match started. I wanted like an intro line to Ragna, to her partner, or to the opponent, or something, because you know, like match start lines are like a thing. They're in every one of these games, like Under Night, BlazBlue, Persona. They're in all of them, and so I was disappointed at that, and I was worried. But then the actual like gameplay demo at New York Comic-Con, she actually does have lines that she says in her round start, so we don't have to worry about that. This match was probably taken from a build that was even earlier than the Comic-Con build. And we'll talk about the Comic-Con build later, but first let's just talk about this trailer. Or, not this trailer. This gameplay video. Anyway, we see her and Jin here on the other side. It's the same thing. She doesn't say anything in this trailer. Jin jumps back. This is Ruby's blue color. I personally think it looks a lot better than her red color. But that's just me. And then the HUD pops up here, and we see quite a few things have been changed. We see that the meter and the assist meter, the actual meter, has been moved from the far sides of the screen more towards the middle. We see this diamond gauge here, which I will talk about later. But other than that, the life bars up at top look about the same. Now, I thought this was effing awesome. Like this round start intro thing here, I thought it was amazing. I loved it. I don't quite like the system voice, but you know how BlazBlue is. Any game with BlazBlue in the title has like a bunch of downloadable system voices. I don't know why they're all so expensive, but yeah, I would definitely lay money that this game is going to have system voices as DLC in the future. So if you don't like the system voice like me, you'll probably be able to buy a new one later. The HUD is revamped, like I've said. It's these diamond meter. It looks like a diamond now. It's not that bar that was there before. And then we see Ruby doing Ruby things here. I'm not gonna analyze the Ruby gameplay too much because like I don't really care for her. We saw like Jin assist into an icicle here. We saw Ragna assist into Hell's Fang. You see Ragna do it. Ruby doing a bunch of B&Bs like with her down jab. We see cancel assist being utilized here. Effing lag. Man, I had downloaded these videos in HD again, only last time I did 1080p. That didn't really work, so this time I'm trying 720. It still doesn't apparently want to cooperate that well, so next time I won't do HD. I'm sorry, but it's just not the frame rate that it should be. Yeah, we see that Ragna has a dead spike assist, which we'll talk about later. Ruby gets in with an overhead, a jump in overhead there for a decent bit of damage, 3.4k. Jin tags in there, gets hit. Ruby does have this like full screen projectile that she can do from what it looks like to be 1 to 4 times, I believe is everything I've seen. And then the freaking video will cooperate. We do get to see Ruby's super here, which I believe someone who actually watches Ruby told me is taken straight from the show. I wouldn't know. I have not seen the show. We see Ruby doing this aerial move here, which looks to be a combo ender similar to Nightmare Edge. See Ragna give her the 5B here. And he hits Jin with this beautiful 6k combo, but then it's all like, oh, it's not over. We're tagging into Ruby for even more damage, and it ends up being 8k for a B&B followed by 2 supers. And considering that at the beginning of the round, if you saw they both started with 3 bars, that's not going to be all that difficult. But we do see that Jin has this thing called Resonance Blaze here, which we'll get to in just a second. Ruby's trying to utilize some corner pressure here. We see Jin whiff a Gale here. And then we see Jin use what is called Resonance Blaze and go straight into Overdrive Arctic Dagger, killing Ruby and knocking off like 3/4 of Ragna's health. And then Ragna comes in and finishes Jin off with this combo, Resonance Finish. And then we see Ragna's signature win pose here. And I do like how the system voice does that. So let's pick this apart a bit more. So we do see at the beginning here that these bars, the meter here, you do start off with maximum meter, which is interesting because you have access to like max supers at the beginning of the game. But you see, the thing is that if you actually watch the video, the meter gain is still really slow. I noticed that it was really slow for Line. I figured out on the character select screen, which we'll talk about later, that her name is pronounced Line, by the way, not Lin, like I've been calling her. But anyway, you start off with max meter. You start off with the max of the blue assist meter here, which is now divided into 2 halves. Each time you do an assist, it costs 1 half. If you see here, you see Jin do a cancel assist into his Ice Star here. It takes up half this meter. This meter recharges a lot faster than the actual meter, the assist meter. If you just watch the following clip after Jin does the assist, you will see that this meter doesn't take too long before it starts recharging, and it recharges really fast. I don't think that there's anything that stops this meter from recharging or anything that makes it recharge faster, but it already recharges really darn fast, and I thought that that's pretty cool because this is an assist-focused game. There's going to be assists flying everywhere and all kinds of crap. So it makes sense that the assist meter would recharge really fast. Now, another thing that we notice is later when Jin does another assist, yeah, right here, I believe, when Jin does this 2-2C follow-up assist thing. Let me see if I can get it, get the clip here. Yes, you see him do it, to do the 2-2C follow-up here. And if you notice, when he does that, one of the diamonds in this quadrangle or diamond here in this bar, like, got filled. And what this is the power of the Resonance Blaze, which is this game's overdrive that you saw at the end. If you notice that when Jin's partner Ruby died, he was able to, this Resonance Blaze thing popped up, and it did say level 4. And this was because this meter, which I believe is filled by using assist attacks, was filled up when Jin used Resonance Blaze. So basically how Resonance Blaze works is this, derived from this trailer. You can activate Resonance Blaze when your partner is dead, and how powerful it is, or rather how long it lasts, is dependent on this gauge here that is filled when your partner is still alive, depending on the amount of assists that you land. And that's basically how Resonance Blaze works. It's this game's version of Overdrive. And we did see that while in Resonance Blaze, Jin used EX Arctic Dagger, which was the Overdrive version of the super in Blazblue Central Fiction. And we do know that this version of the super is only doable in Resonance Blaze because we see him do the normal one in footage that I will show you later. But that was Ragna's equivalent of Overdrive Carnage Scissors as well. You know, see how it like explodes on the full screen here. But yeah, I thought that this whole thing was really interesting, and that's about all that I really derived from this trailer. So let's move on to the next bit of info we got to talk about. Okay, so this is the next video we've got to talk about, and this is the only other video that uses direct screen capture footage of the game. This is an official play movie released on the Arc System Works official YouTube channel. Link to this video will probably be in the description as well. And this was uploaded at the end of the first day of New York Comic Con, so after the players had gotten to play it and saw all of this, they uploaded this video on YouTube for all of those not fortunate enough to make it to the event, to look at and to bask in the news as well. So let's go ahead and get started in this here. It starts off with the character select screen, and can I just say that this character select screen, like the soundtrack, sounds effing nice. It sounds godlike. So, let's pick apart this character select screen here. Because let's go ahead and talk about the characters of the game. So, this is the character select screen. We got, up on the top is player 1 selecting their characters, and the bottom half is the second player selecting their characters. And what happens that you'll see is that these bars actually scroll up to reveal the different franchises. There's 5 of them, one for each of the franchise, and then an ETC bar that I will talk about in just a second. And so the first thing that we see is that there are 7 spots in each one of these bars. And you know what that means? Everyone automatically jumped to the conclusion that there would only be 7 characters per franchise in the initial roster, or just in the roster at all, because like what are they gonna do, like add on to this bar and make it cut into the character portrait for the second player? No, they won't do that. ArcSys loves their character select screens to be symmetrical and perfect looking. Just look at every single one of their character select screens in every one of their games ever. So anyway, you see that the only safe thing to say is that there's probably going to be at least 7 characters in each franchise. Now, there was a person, I'm not sure who this person was, but they asked an Arc System Works representative at the booth about this, and their response was that this was a pre-alpha version of Blazblue Cross Tag Battle. And basically, like, a pre-alpha means that the game isn't even ready to be played yet. Like, usually an alpha version of the game is like the most basic, like, barely playable version that there is. So the fact that this is pre-alpha means that you know they got a lot of work to do. And what you gotta realize is that this response was given to the question about the character select screen. Which means quite a few things. It means that the character select screen has quite a good chance of being changed. It's a good chance that this won't be what the final character select screen looks like at all. It might look something like BlazBlue, or like Guilty Gear, or like, I don't think it's gonna look like Personas, or Under Nights, but it might look like one of those games. Or it may just look like something completely different, like you see this sort of X thing in the background. Maybe in the final select screen there'll be a bunch of icons on the left, upwards, right, and downwards portions of the screen, sort of like that ending image of the first trailer with all of the main characters of the respective franchises taking up a quarter of the screen. But anyway, it's also possible that you see this bar trail off here. It's possible that that like you can scroll over in the final game and the bar will slide over, revealing more characters. I believe that this was mentioned in Coefficient's video. Or not Coefficient, my bad. Eternal Oblivion 96. I believe he mentioned this. This was mentioned in one of his videos analyzing the roster. And another thing that I think is possible is that it is possible that this is the final character select screen. I mean, Arc System Works, like in the past, Arc System Works does not like changing their character select screens, like ever. It's like you look at the pre-alpha versions of BlazBlue Central Fiction, and then you look at the current version, it's the same select screen, except with just more characters. And that's kind of a different situation because they didn't have predetermined slots like this. They more or less just built around it in the symmetrical way that Arc System Works likes to do this. They like the roster to be parallel and even, like, you can see that there's a lot of symmetry apparent here. Like, this is Arc System Works style. This is just what they do. And so, like, it's possible this is the final one, but even if it is, that does not necessarily mean that it's only 7 characters per franchise. Like, this bar could scroll over, like I said. But anyway, I do think that this does mean that we can say that there are 7 characters for certain that are going to make it into each franchise. And I believe what they're going to be for BlazBlue is Rachel, Hakumen, New, Hazama, and Tsubaki are going to fill up the last 5 spots because those are the most story relevant and characters from the first 2 BlazBlue games. They are important to the plot as well as icons of the series. For Persona 4, it's just going to be the rest of the investigation team: Kanji, Naoto, Teddy, Chie Yukiko. For Ruby, y'all and anyone who watches my videos knows I don't know jack crap about Ruby. So yeah, just take your Weiss, Blake, Yang, and then, like, whoever else, just, that's up to you. I don't know. Your guess is better than mine. And for Under Night, we are probably going to have Waldstein, Carmen, Hilda. Who were the other ones I said for that game? Aurier, and Gordio, or Gordo, or however you pronounce his name. And I think of all of these predictions of mine, Under Nights is the only one I'm the least sure of, not counting Ruby, because I do feel like Seth should make it into Under Nights section. But that's enough talking about character predictions for now. You'll see that you get the character select screen does scroll down here And that's how, like, you get to the Under Night section and this ETC section, which I also want to talk about. In the pre-alpha version of the game that was playable at New York Comic Con, this random character icon was... It was literally that. This is the icon that you choose to pick a random character. But, like, if you look at Arc System games... You don't need a lot of buttons for the character select screen. Like, yes, you use triangle to select your colors, which we'll talk about later, but other than that, all you need is the X button to select your character. Like, they could have easily, like, had a thing under this color select thing here that said press square for random. Like, they could have easily had that there, but they went out of their way to put this whole section of the roster here just for the random, like, character selection. And that is no coincidence. This green bar is undoubtedly going to be filled with something. There is going to be at least 6 somethings that consume the entirety of this bar. And there's a few possibilities for this too. For one, it is possible that this bar contains the overflowing characters from the other franchises. A lot of people have said that since this game has BlazBlue in the title, it's at its core a BlazBlue game, there is going to be more BlazBlue characters in this game than characters from the other franchises. I personally do not agree with this. I don't think that's what they're going to do. ArcSys has always been a country, like I said, of symmetry, of balance. This is represented in their character select screens as well as their roster. I think that they really are going to keep the number of characters in each franchise equal. But I don't work for ArcSys. It's possible that I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong, it is possible that the CTC bar is just the overflowing characters from the franchises. If you can't scroll over, like I said, you may be able to. And another possibility is that this ETC bar is for DLC characters from all these franchises. Like, if the game, like, obviously the 7 slots per character bar here that is established is not enough to give an even number of DLC characters to each franchise, obviously. So maybe they're going to have polls if they do this as to what characters they want to be in, or maybe they have pre-established DLC characters that they're going to put in. But this is ArcSys we're talking about. There's undoubtedly going to be DLC characters in this game. So it is possible that the DLC characters are going to fill up this ETC bar, and if that's the case, then we'll have 6 or 7 if they decide to take this random thing off and, like, make it into a button, which I personally think they'll definitely do. But another possibility is that this ETC bar is for guest characters. I think that even if they had DLC characters for the existing franchises, they would still find a way to group those characters into their, like, respective franchise bars. If they're, I think that this ETC bar could very well be filled with singular guest characters from other franchises. Like, you may have one of them go to Soul Bad Guy. Because we all know that even though Guilty Gear is in an era of 3D models, Soul Bad Guy does have 2D sprites that would fit perfectly in this game from the older days of Guilty Gear. And another one of these might go to I Know Heart from Arc System Works' other fighting game franchise that wasn't as successful as Persona or BlazBlue. Another one of these might go to Effet, a Melty Blood character, because that's one of French Bread's things, and French Bread made Unil. Like, there's a million things that they could put characters from in this bar. If, like this is a crossover game, like, and they've said in interviews that they would definitely be open to this. They never said they'd do it, because it's ArcSys. They like to keep things shrouded in mystery until they reveal it. But it's very possible that that's, like, what their plan is. Like, they're gonna, like, give you some guest characters from some weird crap that they don't want to, like, devote a whole bar to. But, yeah, that's a lot. That was a lot, just talking about the character select screen. The timer you see here, I do think the character select screen looks nice. I do think that it would have been better to just put all 6 of these bars just like or all 5 of these bars just on top of each other and then have both players able to move around them freely. I'm not sure why they did it like this. That's my only real gripe with it, but I like how colorful it is. Like, I like how they organized it. It's Arxis. They always do a good job. And I do like the announcer, and you see the stage select and music select. We'll talk about the stages and music here in a bit. But this screen lets you choose the order of your characters. So, like, if you pick a character first on the character select screen, that obviously does not mean they have to be first on your team. You can choose that here. And I think that this screen looks beautiful. It doesn't give you much time, so you better know that crap ahead of time to decide your character order. But I think that the way that they organize this is great. Like the colored backgrounds corresponding to the franchise, the names of the franchise above the character. I thought that this organization is just beautiful. And like I said, it's Arxis. Like, they always do this well. And we see that loading screen there for a brief second. Looks cool. We see this stage from Under Night and Birth, so that equates to a total of 2 stages that we know in the game so far. One from Under Night and one of that new one that we saw in the Ruby gameplay trailer. Anyway, we saw Ragna Narukami there on the left, and we see Ruby and Hyde here on the right. And I'll turn up the volume a bit so that you can hear that Ruby intro quote that I told you was not present in the previous trailer, but is present here. Yeah, you know, it's generic, but it's there, and I do like that they did that. I was scared that it wouldn't be there. So the time is for 1:20. I'm not sure if this, I think I forgot to touch on this in the previous trailer, the Ruby gameplay one, but this is because this is not a game that uses rounds. Like, it's not best 2 out of 3, like most team-based games. No, it's just you fight until one team dies. There's no second rounds for the meter to carry over, for burst to carry over, or anything like that. No, it's just a set timer. You fight till one team dies, and then that side that's still standing is the absolute winner. So we see Ragna do Nightmare Edge here, and we see like him tag into Hyde, and Ruby do a combo on the both of them. We saw Hyde tag in for Galaxy Cross. We see Ragna do his DP there, which is a D Inferno Divider. I thought that it was kind of interesting how they gave him his D Inferno Divider as his reversal instead of a C one, because as we all know, D Inferno Divider has no invuln in actual Blazblue. And I think that what we just saw there was Ruby's DP. Yes, it was, because in this game, if you DP, you flash red, like she does here. Like, you'll see later in this video, Jin is going to Gale at some point in time. He will flash red as well. And so we see, like, when Ruby DPs here, she flashes red. And so that's just like a thing that happens when you DP. We do now know that DP is going to be on a button. It's like in Persona. You press 2 buttons and you get your reversal out. Every character in the game has a reversal. And I think this is overall very healthy for a couple reasons. For one, every character in the game has a reversal option. It's not unbalanced like in Blazblue, where some characters have a tool to get out of pressure and some don't. No, it's a universal mechanic that everyone can utilize. And I'm also really happy to know that it's on a button. So, for one thing, beginner players who get into bad habits of mashing DP a lot will be a lot more easily read by better players and blown up for it, which will help them get out of that bad habit that doesn't happen as often in other games where you have to use the Shoryuken motion. And speaking of which, since that motion is removed, there's a lot less, like, screwing up of inputs. Characters will actually get reversal when they want it, instead of getting counter hit out of a 6C or a 2C that was supposed to be Shoryuken C. And I think that this is all very good. It's a lot better on like your actual reads and decision making than the controls just effing up. And I think that this whole DP situation is very good and very healthy for the game overall. And we see Ragna Inferno Divider there, gets counter hit. He can do all of the follow-ups of Inferno Divider, like not counter hit. I believe in like SKD's write-up of all the system mechanics. that Ragna can only do his follow-ups of Inferno Divider on counter hit. This is not true. I know this for a fact because I saw it. Hopefully I'll find the clip and show it to y'all later. But yeah, I know that for a fact. Like, he can just follow up whenever the crap he wants. But then we see Ruby hit Ragna with this overhead, and Hyde comes in here and they do this cross slash thing, X cross thing that we've seen in the previous couple of trailers. And we see that this doesn't take up any meter. This doesn't take up any of the assist meter. Hyde just comes in and they do this. And we know from the demo booth that what this is a universal overhead mechanic. Every character in the game has an overhead similar to Persona's all-out attack system, where it's sort of slow, you know, like the Persona all-out attacks. And basically, you can every character in the cast can use this, and if they land this on a grounded opponent, just like in Persona, if it lands on an aerial opponent, you can't like do the follow-up. But if you land it on a grounded opponent, then your partner will come out here and you will do this marvelous thing for absolutely free, just for landing that overhead. Every character in the game has this. The Persona character's animation for this is what their all-out attacks used to be. The Blazblue character's animation for this is what their crush triggers used to be. We'll see this a bit later. We see Ragna tag into Narukami very, very quickly here. This is because another feature in this game is that there is a tag in button. There is a button that is 100% dedicated to just switching characters. You press it, your character switches, like, near instantaneously. You saw how fast this happened. Like, you press the button and your character switch. Like, it's that fast. And that's all the button does. It doesn't have any motions. It doesn't have any other mechanics. That's just all it does. And so technically, it's a 5-button fighter, considering that it has one button that all it does is switches characters. I still technically consider it a 4-button fighter, but you do technically have to use 5 buttons, so it's worth mentioning. But I like the character switch. It's very fast. It's fluent. We see Narukami block immediately afterwards, which means it's not minus. You can just swap characters whenever the crap you want, in neutral at least. And then we see him like 5B here. I'll let the footage play. And we see like Ragna do this cross attack thing, which as we see is starts up with the animation of what used to be his all-out attack. Yeah, and like every character has their own animation for when they tag in and do this. And we see Narukami do cross slash here. And this is very interesting because as anyone who's played Persona 4 Arena knows, that cross slash was a awakening super. Like, you could only do this in awakening. And when people first saw this game and they saw the resonance blaze system, people came under the assumption that awakening supers such as cross slash can only be done within resonance blaze. This is not true, obviously. Narukami just whips it out for no good reason here. Like, slaps Hyde across the face. It costs 2 bars, by the way. One thing I do feel the need to mention is that every super in this game costs 2 bars. Yeah, one thing that I forgot to mention in the Ruby trailer is that we see Ruby do her super and it costs 2 bars, but later we see her do it and it only costs 1 bar. Well, the reason for that is because tag-in supers that are done after your first character does a super cost half as much meter. And this allows for characters to like do a super and do a tag-in super for just 3 bars, when normally every super in the game would cost 2 bars. But anyway, we see Narukami do cross slash here in all its glory, which, by the way, is effing brutal. This super does 4.8k on hit. And another thing that I want to mention about this is that Hyde pokes him here, and Narukami just goes through it, which means that cross slash still has invuln, which means that supers in this game, well, they may redistribute the invuln among them. Some may have invuln, some may not. If Arctic Dagger still doesn't have invuln, I'm gonna cry just as I have every time I get hit out of it in Blazblue. But it does show that at least some supers are going to have invuln in this game. And my computer's lagging a bit here, so this is unfortunate. You gonna work? Yeah, I may cut this out in editing, which would probably be a good idea. Okay, there we go. But we see Ragna tag in to do a super here, Devoured by Darkness, which as we saw in the previous trailer, Ragna did a combo into Devoured by Darkness and it cost 2 bars, but since it was a tag-in super here, we see that it does only cost 1 bar. And this, like, obliterates Hyde's health. And then we see Ragna do Gauntlet Hades into follow-up. It actually, in SKD's write-up in the game, he says that Ragna has Hell's Fang and Gauntlet Hades, but he doesn't say what the follow-up input is. So I'm not sure if the follow-up input for Hell's Fang and Gauntlet Hades is just the same input as it is normally. Because we're going to talk about the controls a bit later, but basically they change the controls a lot. And don't expect like any of the characters' inputs to be the same as they were in their previous games. But we see Narukami come in here. You see Ragna block all this crap. And then this is another interesting thing. Hyde does his universal overhead here. I'm not sure if this is some mechanic in Under Night or they just gave this animation to one of Hyde's moves because I don't play Under Night like that. But you see, since his partner Ruby was already on the screen, Hyde did this combo without her, and he was still able to do it. And it did 1.5k. Now, I'm going to go back to a previous instance of this and compare the damage. Let me see if this was scaled due to a combo or not. I don't think it was. Yeah, like this is a brand new combo. Like this did 2k on its own, and with the partner. But it seems that when Hyde does it by himself later, about here, it only does 1.5k. So you can do this mechanic if your partner's already on the screen. It just looks like it won't do as much damage. And this is another very interesting mechanic. This right here. People were saying bursts aren't in this game. I'm telling you right now, bursts are in this game. So what happens is, we see Hyde get hit by Narukami here, and Hyde has no health. And if you haven't been able to tell by now, in this game, damage is effing massive. So basically, Hyde gets hit by Narukami here. It looks like he's going to die. But we see all of Hyde's assist meter, which was previously full, go to absolute 0 here. You see it fill up there? And then all of a sudden, it goes to 0, and we see Hyde fly out of Narukami's combo. And Ruby comes in and does a singular hit to Narukami's face. It doesn't do much damage, and I'm pretty darn sure you can't combo off it. But it happens, and Hyde gets out of this combo, and he lives. And at Comic-Con, we see that this is the game's burst system. You can use the entirety of your assist meter to have your character fly out of the combo and your partner come in and do a singular hit, and your character switch after this. Hyde switched. And, yeah, so this game definitely, I mean, there was no, like, literal burst. A burst didn't happen, but it worked the exact same as a burst. Heck, it's better than a burst because it actually does a little bit of damage to the opponent. I'm not sure if this can kill or not, but yeah, bursts are in this game. And if you look at the controls, because Arc System Works was giving out control pamphlets at the booth, there was like a control guide there for the players to come try it out. This is done by the same input as burst. You press this by pressing all 4 of the buttons, or by pressing the tag in button by itself. Yeah, you remember that button I told you about where you just click it and you switch characters instantly? Or you can press that instead of all 4 buttons to burst. But let's be honest, like, both good and bad players alike, when they're trying to burst, they like mash all the buttons. It's like human instinct to want to do that. So yeah, bursts are definitely in this game, and I thought that was very interesting. And I also thought that it's interesting that bursts share the same meter as the assists, because as previously stated, this meter fills up again fast. Like, let's count how long it takes this meter to fully recharge. We're at 80 seconds here, and let's just see how long it takes for this meter to come back to maximum. Oh, we're going to talk about what Ragna just did in a second. Yeah, it cost about like 8 or 9 seconds before this meter filled back up. So basically, if you just want to save your assist meter for defensive purposes, which I don't recommend as a good strategy, by the way, then you can do that. And you can have a burst every 8 or 9 seconds. And I think that that's kind of stupid. But it's cool, because no one's going to do that. Excuse me. Because they're going to be using assists, and they're going to be using this mechanic that I'm about to mention here, like, all the time. Like, assists are flying everywhere in this game. And so let's talk about what just happened with Ragna. Narukami attacks here. He calls in Ragna to do an assist, and then Ragna does this, what is in Persona, his overdrive animation. And what in this game is his Resonance Blaze animation. And at first it looks like that Ragna's Resonance Blazing here, judging from the appearance of how things looked in that previous trailer, like that Ruby gameplay trailer. But that's not the case. This is actually an entirely separate mechanic. You see this bar here? Basically, this is a mechanic where it's like you can have your partner tag in. And while this bar is filling up here, let me see if I can show it to you. Yeah, while that bar is filling up, you can like input all of the assist motions that you want your partner to do, and then they will do those assists in rapid succession all on their own, while you do whatever the crap you want. So let's look at it again a little more closely. We see Ragna, who is not the main character, do 2 Hell's Fangs, like just in a row, while Narukami's doing his normal pressure, before the character switches characters over to Ragna after having Narukami do a jump, which I thought was really cool mix-up here. Basically, they make Narukami jump and then tag into Ragna while he's already on the screen, so he can do a low that he normally wouldn't be able to do as an assist while Narukami jumps and makes the opponent think that they need to block high. And I just thought this was effing sneaky. Like, the mix-up in this game is going to be effing whack. But basically, this mechanic here, it costs the entire assist meter as well. And we see that, or rather, it makes the meter continuously drain. That's what I meant to say. It doesn't cost the whole meter. It makes the meter continuously drain. And basically, the inputs that you can have your character do as assists can only last as long as this meter will allow. That's why there's like such a short time for him to input inputs for Ragna to do as an assist here. And that's all complicated and all that crap. But basically, it's like you can use this to have your partner do like assists that you want them to do in rapid succession by having the meter continuously drain. And I thought that this was very interesting because you can also tag in off of this. And, yeah. You can have just your character do the assist that you want them to do in succession. Which leads me to talk about the assist. Every character has 3. This isn't like in Marvel 3 where you choose what assists you want your character to do before the match starts. Every character has 3 assists, and you have access to the assists all match as long as your partner is alive. You do the different assists by pressing the assist button. There is a button dedicated to assists and partner-related things. Like, I believe that this draining meter thing here. This uses quarter circle and the button. But basically, for your character's 3 assist moves, you either press forward and the assist button, just press the assist button without a directional input, or you press backwards and the assist button. And this, like, makes each character do any of their assist moves. For example, Ragna's assists are the first hit of Hell's Fang, Dead Spike, and Blood Scythe. Those are Ragna's 3 assists. I'm not sure which input is which, but you get the idea. And so basically, Ragna Narukami having used this mechanic here could have made Ragna do any combination of those assist moves for the duration of this meter drain before he tags in here off of this move that he used, and has Narukami jump before he tags out to make the opponent think that he has to block high and then hits her with a low. And I thought that was just effing sneaky. But anyway, we see Ragna go down here, and we see Narukami come in here before getting obliterated by Hyde's super. And I think it's kind of a disappointment that we didn't at least see you go into Resonance Blaze, because a lot of people thought, well, Resonance Blaze sounds like a Blazblue term. And when we saw it in the previous Ruby gameplay trailer, it looked a lot like Overdrive for both Ragna and Jin. We saw their crest, we saw Jin's Overdrive version of Arctic Dagger, we saw Ragna's Overdrive version of Carnage Scissors. So a lot of people thought that this was just Overdrive, and so they wondered what it was going to be for the other characters. Well, it does have some universal mechanics. For one, it buffs every super in the game. Like, as we saw, like Jin and Ragna get their Overdrive versions of their supers. For Persona characters, they get their EX versions of their supers that they got in Ultimax. And, I don't know what it does for Under Night characters, but I believe that Under Night has like a special mode in it that was similar, comparable to Overdrive, and that's what Resonance Blaze is for them. And for Ruby, it's something custom that I know nothing about, because I didn't play the game, so I don't know like what buffs it gave to Ruby. But another thing it does, it makes all of your specials chainable into supers, which is very interesting. But the thing that I was most confused about, I don't know if you saw that or not, I clicked a button I shouldn't have. Yeah, but it's the Persona characters. And because the closest thing that Persona characters have to this is Awakening, which is just meter gain. And as we saw in the previous Ruby trailer, when a character does Resonance Blaze, I guess I should have pointed this out when we were there, but basically when a character does Resonance Blaze, their meter surpasses its maximum. Like, the max meter, as we all know, is 3 bars. We saw characters get up to 6 bars in Resonance Blaze in that previous trailer. And, so every character in the game gets meter gain, so that wouldn't be anything unique to, Persona characters. So, we do, I did see Yosuke go into Resonance Blaze in a little bit of footage. I'll see if I can show you that later. But, basically it didn't last for very long. He looked like he had the Shadow Rage aura from Ultimax, but, I mean, like, I don't really know what sort of benefits it would give to the Persona characters, uniquely, because it gives, like, the Blazblue characters their Overdrive benefits, like it gives like Ragna that extra life gain and Jin that freeze on a lot of his moves that don't normally have freeze. So basically, like, Resonance Blaze, it's weird. Like, it does kind of share mechanics throughout characters of each respective franchise, and it also, like, kind of does character-specific things. I mean, if you, like, Arctic Dagger has a Resonance Blaze version, Carnage Scissors has a Resonance Blaze version, and all of that. And anyway, we see this TV stage here, straight from Persona, and we hear Jin's Lust Sin 2 in the background. And that's when it's revealed that, yes, the music from this game will be taken from Chrono Phantasma's remixes. Lesson 2, Rebellion 2, Persona and Unio obviously do not have remixes, so they'll just get their respective character songs. But one thing that I thought was interesting is that when Ragna and Jin are put on a team, Heaven Destruction 1, like the original version, plays. And I thought that's very interesting. And by the way, that's the only thing we know of all the soundtracks so far. And that's that we know Ragna's theme, Hyde's theme, Ragna's theme, Rebellion 2, Hyde's theme, Narukami's theme, Lin's theme, Yosuke's theme, Jin's theme, Lesson 2, Ruby's theme that we heard in the previous trailer / gameplay video, and Under Heaven Destruction 1 for a Ragna Jin team. And yeah, that's the entirety we know of the soundtrack so far. 8 tracks, not counting the character select song that plays during the character select screen, which I thought was really good. But I thought that was worth mentioning. That's the entirety of the music so far. We see Lin do her DP here, do a combo into a Jin Ice Car assist. Which, by the way, we know all of Jin's assists too. We know that one is Ice Car and follow-up. We know that one is 22C's D follow-up. And we know that one is Ice Missile. And we see Ruby do a singular overhead cross thing there. I don't know what they're called. But we see Narukami get hit here by Jin 5C while calling out Izanagi. And this is when it's... And we did see Izanagi go away here, so technically the Persona got broken, but as we can see, there are no Persona cards anywhere on the screen. So while Personas can go away by getting hit or having their character get hit, Personas cannot actually be broken in this game. And we see Jin do whiff one of his like overhead like cross things here. He uses his guard crush animation. We see Jin do a little combo with Lin assist here. And here's a mechanic. Reject. It looks very similar to Marvel's Advancing Guard system. Basically, Narukami is blocking here, and then this mechanic shoots Jin across the screen, like mid-block string. And so, yeah, basically that's all it is to it. It's just Marvel's Advancing Guard system. It's like if... it has the same input as BlazBlue's Counter Assault, and like BlazBlue's Counter Assault, it costs meter. It costs 1 bar, so in that regard, it's not like Marvel's Advancing Guard system. You can't just like do it all the time for no good reason. In this game, you do have to spend meter for it, so if you want to get someone off you, you do have to spend meter, just like in BlazBlue. But as in BlazBlue, where it costs half your meter, in this game it only costs 1/3 because of how the meter works. So, yeah, this is basically your neutral reset option, I suppose. And we see Narukami run up throw here. And then we see Jin run up throw here. And it looks like they just ran up through. But that's not the case here. In this game, if you press throw, your character runs up a little distance before actually throwing. And as we see with Jin here, if they get to the character, then they will stop running and just throw them on spot. And so yeah, throws have a built-in run-up mechanic. So you know how in BlazBlue that stupid crab happens where 2 characters are like having their nose touching and they both press grab and they both whiff? Yeah, none of that crap's gonna happen anymore. It's like characters are gonna run up and grab each other and throw them. Which, by the way, the grab here looks very, very similar to BlazBlue's grab system with the green exclamation mark. And it looks like the tech window is about the same as BlazBlue. Also, there are no purple grabs in this game, which kind of makes me kind of sad. But that's also a thing that you can take home off of this. And we see Narukami do Zeodyne here. I'm not sure if it had invuln. Let me see if I can shed a little light on the situation by going back a bit. No, it didn't look like he invuln through anything, so I'm not sure if Zeodyne has invuln or not. But he kills Linne. And we see Narukami utilize the assist thing here. And we see Jin go into Resonance Blaze and do EX Arctic Dagger. And we see Ruby use her Resonance Blaze. I'm not entirely sure what it does for Ruby here, but it buffs the crap out of her damage. Look at that damage. If you were paying attention in the Ruby trailer, you know that Ruby's super doesn't actually do all that much damage. So Resonance Blaze did buff the heck out of that. But here we are in Celica's stage, which I thought was a very interesting stage choice. I mean, yeah, it's beautiful, but is Celica gonna be in this game? That'd be pretty stupid, honestly. I mean, I love Celica, but darn, she doesn't need to be in this game. Which, by the way, concludes all of our stage knowledge. We know there's Celica stage, we know there's the TV stage, we know there's the Undernight stage, and we know that there is the original stage. There are no stages for Ruby yet, but yeah, 4 stages were in this pre-alpha version of the game. We see Yosuke, we hear Yosuke's theme playing in the back here. We see Lin burst out of the combo. I don't think they're actually called bursts because there's no actual burst animation. We see Jin do a heck of a cool combo here that does 4.3k. I thought that was really cool. It looks like 2-2-C is safe on block, but I'm not entirely sure. Or Jin's 2-2-C. It's not actually his 2-2-C in this game, actually. I'll explain the controls a bit later. But we see Jin anti-air a couple characters with Gale here. It's always good to see Gale actually working. Seen Jin do assist into Tentarafu here. Tentarafu is unblockable in this game, by the way. Like I said in my analysis of the second trailer, it no longer confuses, but still. I thought this was kind of like excessive for Hyde to do his super and before it even lands have Jin tag into 1,000 arrows. I don't know what the purpose of all that was, especially since Yosuke was about to die anyway. I mean, like, darn Hyde. Be reasonable. We see Lin go into Resonance Blaze here. Like I said, I'm not familiar with Undernight, so I'm not entirely sure what it does for them, but that super did 5.5k, so gosh darn Lin A. I keep forgetting her name's Lin A. We see Jin tech out of a grab here, so yeah, this isn't like Guilty Gear, or what's that game? What's that game where throws are untechable? Is it Street Fighter? I don't know. I don't play games like that. We see, I thought this was very interesting. Jin air dashed into the super and was able to block it. So I'm not sure if you can block off of air dashes here or what, because we saw that like he was in the middle of his air dash startup. So I'm not really sure what's up with that, but we see Jin go into Resonance Blaze here. Gale. Counter hit Gale. Beautiful. And we see Ice Star here. And this is very interesting also, because like in my analysis of Jin's character reveal trailer, we saw that he has the EX ice missiles from Blazblue Continuum Shift before they changed it to Ice Star. But here we see him do Ice Star. And I was like, what? Excuse me? And as it turns out, every character in this game has EX specials, similar to Persona. And all of these EX specials cost 1 bar. As, yeah, we saw that just before Lin died there, Jin had 5 meter, and then when he used Ice Star, he dropped to 4. So, the Ice Star is basically the EX version of his Continuum Shift Ice Missiles, which was an EX in Continuum Shift. So I thought that was kind of crazy. And Jin also has his normal Ice Missile that he can just throw out. And I looked into this. Obviously, the Persona characters have their EXs. Narukami EX Lightning Car, Yosuke EX Block String, all of that good jazz. But I looked into some more of the Blazblue characters' moves, and in addition to Jin having Ice Star and EX Ice Missiles, like Ragna, Blood Edge is an EX move. Like you can't just do like Blood Edge. Blood Scythe costs meter now. That's what I meant to say. Blood Scythe. I'm not sure what I said. Did I say Blood Edge? I'm like, what? What's wrong with me? But Blood Edge is an EX. Ragna has both Belial Edge and Nightmare's Edge in this game. And also he has 3 dead spikes. 3! The Continuum Shift one, the current one, and the one that he does in Unlimited mode. Yes, Unlimited Dead Spike, but that one costs 1 meter, because that's an EX move. And I believe that Under Night characters have their own EX moves that cost meter. I think that they had that in Under Night and Birth. So they just took those straight from there. Ruby has EX moves herself, but I don't know what they are. I'm not going to analyze a character that I know nothing about, gameplay-wise or story-wise. We see Ragna do 5A here. And can I just take a moment to say, we're going to touch on the controls in a bit here, but what used to be Blazblue characters 5A is now their 4A. So that's kind of weird. I'll elaborate on that a bit more later. And we see Ragna do in front of Divider there. And this is my previous point, like, this was not counter hit. And he was still able to do all of the follow-ups. So I'm not sure if you do this through an input or just mashing DP, similar to how Sho did his DP follow-ups by just continuing to mash DP or what, but yeah. Yeah, Persona characters no longer take blue health to do their DPs, it's great. $2K off a DP? Jesus, Lynn. I think it's interesting how when Ragna is the main character, he has to spend a bar to use Blood Scythe, but one of his assists is Blood Scythe that he could just do for free. I thought that's kind of interesting. And we see this here. The first hit of the Super of Hyde's clashes with this Super of Linne's. But then it's like Hyde Super wins. I thought that was interesting. See Ruby using the crap out of Resonance Blades here. It seems to just universally buff the damage. And we see Hyde win. Alright, now let's talk about the controls. What you're seeing here are 2 pictures of the pamphlets that Arc System Works laid out at their booth, photographed by SKD, and uploaded to his Twitter, as it were. So let's look at this one over here first, because I believe this is the first one you're supposed to look at. It explains the hub, you know, the cross gauge, the meter, which by the way isn't the same meter that's used in the game, the timer, the health bars, how the assist meter turns into Resonance Blaze when one of your character dies. But let's talk about the actual controls. On the left, you've got jump, crouch, advance, press twice to dash, and block retreat. There's back dashes in this game, there's air dashes and air back dashes in this game. One thing that I did hear is that there is no walking in this game. You just press forward and you automatically start running. But according to this control pamphlet, that's not true at all. And I'm not sure about this, but the fact that you couldn't walk in this game is a rumor that, I heard and never really confirmed. I looked at the footage and I saw people go straight into their run, so I assumed it was true, but I guess it may not be if Arc System Works is telling us right here that that's not the case. But let's look at the controls. So, we have partner skill, which is assists, strong attack, crash assault, change switch, and weak attack. Now let's break down these buttons to what we already know the identity of. Partner skill is assists. I've talked about assists already. You do one of your character's 3 assist attacks by pressing the button, or by pressing the button while holding forward or back. Crash Assault is the previously spoken of overhead, the universal one, which will initiate that little cross slash thing that you and your partner do if you land it. And Chain Switch is the button that you just press in order to switch characters really fast. But then you think about it, and you're like, okay, then that only leaves 2 buttons for the attacks, even if this Crash Assault button is used for other moves, which it is, like down and Crash Assault is a universal sweep. So it's more or less a 3-button fighter if you do not count the assists. But the thing is, the assists count, because in this game the assists are a good part of the block strings, they're a good part of the combo theory. Like, you're going to be using assists a lot. That's why they made the meter recharge as fast as it did. So basically, you have A, weak attack, B, strong attack, C, cross assault, and D, assists. And then just 1 button to swap your characters. We'll talk about how this correlates to specific characters a bit later. But basically, each character has weak attacks, strong attacks, and then like their overhead button, which is also their sweep button. So I guess it can sort of be correlated to a mix-up button if you want to look at it that way. And yeah, so that's the controls. It's a unique control scheme. Smart combo. Yes, there are auto combos in this game. Every character has 2 auto combo strings by pressing square or triangle repeatedly. Each one of these buttons combo strings lasts 3 moves each, and each one of the moves after the first initial hit cannot be done any other way. It's just like Persona's auto combo system, only not as long, because it's only 3 moves per auto combo. Like, I know Ragna, when he spams triangle, which is heavy attack, he does 6A, or I'm gonna say these moves like Ragna 5 triangle correlates to, in Blazblue, 6A 5D 2C, and that all combos because the moves obviously do not share the same properties they did in Blazblue. And like for Jin, pressing square repeatedly would do like 5, or for Jin pressing triangle repeatedly, I mean, I don't have the like auto combo routes memorized, but it would basically do 5C, 5D, 2C, follow up, or something like that. Like basically all of the moves that like 5AA or 5BB or 5BBB, and I'm calling this A and this B, you can't do those moves any other way. They're specifically unique to the auto combo, just like they were in Persona. And Crash Assault, this is the overhead. We previously talked about overhead. Reject Guard, I talked about this already. It's the equivalent of Marvel's Advancing Guard. This is your DP. It looks like it's done by pressing the change button and the weak attack respectively. So maybe in essence this is a 5-button fighter. Because you're using the button that you just used to change characters in order to do the DP. And throws, same as in Blazblue. And distortions are very interesting. It looks like, for one, it's interesting that they're calling all the supers in the game distortions, even for the Persona and Under Night characters. And for 2, it does say right here that it costs 2 skill gauges. All supers in the game costs 2 bars. But it's interesting that they're doing these Marvel style. It's a special command plus triangle and circle. So quarter circle forward or quarter circle back, B and C. So it looks like every character in the game is going to have 2 supers, more or less. Jin has 1,000 arrows and Arctic Dagger. Ragna has Carnage Scissors and Devoured by Darkness. Narukami has Zeodyne and Cross Slash, etc., etc. And I think that this input's very interesting because it's very similar to my supers in how easy they are to get out in BlazBlue. And there's not going to be any mashing double quarter circles trying to get a winner's riposte out, or like trying to pull some weird bull crap to get a Carnage Scissors out under pressure. Like, it looks like it's going to be very easy to do what you want to do in this game. Like, they designed it as such. And let's go over here. So this, like I said, there's a button dedicated to just swapping places with your partner. You can press L1 instead of all 4 buttons for burst. Basically, L1 is just a shortcut. Like, they just they gave a shortcut so that people don't have to like mesh their thumb onto the D-pad or onto all the buttons in order to burst. But yeah, it's like if you're a kind of person who likes to play with shortcuts, I'm not. There you go. And then you have like your assists. It says by pressing back or forward, it will change the move. Using this move in the middle of a combo will consume the cross gauge. So it seems as if it's implying that doing an assist by itself, or maybe during a block string, won't cost meter. I may have to check that again a bit later. And if you press assist while you're doing a super, then your partner will tag in super. So you don't have to like input another quarter circle. You just press the button and then boom, another super will come out. And since it is just press this button, it leads me to believe that each character has only one of their supers that they can follow up with. Basically, every character will only have one tag-in super, which I think is interesting. And then cross combo is what I previously talked about, where it's like you can input their assists and they will continue attacking while you can do whatever the crap you want. And Resonance Blaze, it talks about it briefly here. It increases your meter past the maximum point, like I said. And it allows you to cancel skills like your special attacks with your distortion drives and whatnot. And I like the ETC here, which means that it may have more special moves besides distortion drives, which means we may have a sort of astral mechanic here later, is what they may mean by this ETC here. And as we all know, it also like changes the moves, like basically supers get their upgraded versions when in Resonance Blaze. And these pictures were found on SKD's Twitter. Go check him out. I may put the link for that in the description below as well. And yeah, I think that may be all I have to talk about. It's been a lot of information, but before I go, there is one last thing I want to share with you all. And that is this clip notes this list of notes for the game, which was posted by RurouniLoneWolf. I'll have a link to his Twitter in the description as well, who is the one who posted this. And he has an analysis of the game in further detail. And I have, watched a lot of the bad, footage of the game taken on people's cell phones and whatnot. So I can firsthand say if a lot of this stuff is true. A lot of it we've already talked about. You have A, B, C, and D, which is, the D is assist, and then there's a button just for tagging in. I'm not entirely sure what he means by this. A and B buttons are normals with the option of 4x and 2x for command normals. I'm not entirely sure what that means, but he does say here that 2A's might be universally low. And this is interesting because as we all know, in Persona, Narukami and Yosuke, both of their 2As are lows. And Ruby does look like her 2A should, in fact, be a low. Like, that makes sense. The only thing that this is kind of whack for is the Blazblue characters. Because if you can imagine Ragnar or Jin having a 2A that hits low, then that's kind of whack. And he says here that 2C is a universal sweep. I know for a fact that Ragnar's 2C is what his 2D is in BlazBlue. So that's interesting. And he does see that supers are this input that we saw on the pamphlets. So this more or less confirms that every character has 2 supers in the game. He does make a comment here that you can reverse beat normals. And I'm not entirely sure what this means. I do know that it's a mechanic utilized in Under Night and Birth. From my understanding of it, and forgive me if I explain this really poorly, you can basically chain any normal in your moveset to another normal in your moveset during any given block string, as long as it's not as powerful. So you could like go maybe 5C, 2B, 5A, and it will all like go straight through the block string just for like flow fluently in a block string, just for a very basic example. I don't really understand this properly. Ask an Unil player to explain this better. But yeah, this game is going to utilize reverse beat. I'm going to have to read up on that. Like I mentioned, Persona characters cannot get their personas broken. It says Under Night and Birth, characters have assault as their air dashes currently. I do remember when I played Under Night and Birth, there was no air backdash, but there's obviously air backdashes in this game. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Under Night and Birth characters adapt to that. If their air dashes are similar to how they were in Under Night and Birth. There are no air throws, which I think is really interesting. It makes aerial neutral a lot simpler. It's like all the air-to-air exchanges are going to come down to your normals and potentially specials. 2-button dashes are in, so maybe that comment I had heard about just pressing the button forward and you running is wrong, and there is no instant blocking, and there's no barrier guard either from what I have seen. There's no barrier guard mechanic, and in its place is that reject system, which I've spoken about a couple of times. We've talked about the meter already. We talked about how 5C works, the cross-lash thing. He says it's slower than all-out attacks. I don't think so. I've been watching the footage, and it looks like they're faster. They're the same speed as all-out attacks, if not faster. It looks like they look faster to me. Throws basically function a lot like in BlazBlue. There's no purple throws, like I said. Throw reject misses exist and throw counters exist. I thought that both of these were obvious. It's very generic mechanics. He does say that DPs give knockdown on counter hit. I can confirm that this is true. I've seen this in footage firsthand. And it's going to be very interesting to see how reversals are utilized in this game in regards to knockdown and in regards to momentum. It's like if you reversal a character, it's like that puts you at an advantage in neutral because you got a knockdown or what. It's basically just gonna be interesting. Like we saw in the Yosuke reveal trailer, you can tag in off of any assist if you want. He tries to make a lot sense of that mechanic where it's like you tag into your partner and they can do continuous assists while the meter drains. I don't really understand how he words it here, but you can try to make more sense of it. When a character dies and the remaining character comes in, they'll do an attack. Incoming. This was seen in the Ruby trailer, where it was Ruby Ragna versus Ruby Jin when the Ruby on Ragna's side died. Ragna came in doing the animation that is the first hit of Nightmare Edge. This is basically a very safe come-in for the second character once the first character dies. It has invuln, it's safe on block, it has good tracking, which I call homing, and it doesn't look like it's like punishable at all, like even on whiff. It says here you can make it whiff, but it really doesn't look like it's punishable whatsoever. So it looks like we're going to have very safe switch-ins in this game. I've spoken about EX specials. These are done by inputting the directional command and C, which is for the overhead. So it looks like C is just like the unique button for the game. And they cost a bar meter to use, like EX Lightning Car, Jin Ice Star, Ragna's Unlimited Dead Spike, you know, stuff like that. We've talked about Reject Guard already. Teching, hold the button to tech is how you tech in this game. And he says that there's no forward or back roll, but you can tech in the direction that you press, which I think's just, like, I've seen this, it looks silly. Like, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure that regardless of the direction you tech in, you have invul no matter what. So I think that's very interesting. It's sort of like a directional roll that has invul, but not really. I like the ability to control which direction you tech in. I've always loved wake up rolls in BlazBlue. Persona never had them, but whatever. Auto combos are 3 hits per. Burst, I've talked about it. Yeah, I'm just basically trying to cover like everything that was revealed that we found out over the past few days, because like it's all just so interesting. So I've like pooled all the information that I've gathered, trying to put it all into one video. And here's all his Resonance Blaze notes. Like I said, diamonds fill up as you use the assists. You press the button when a character dies. Oh yeah, I forgot all about this. You know that red health that restores for a character if you tag them out, and it's restoring until they come back in? Yeah, if you're in Resonance Blaze, then that health restores for the active character. And it buffs supers, and it fills up meter. We talked about all of this. And okay, now here's where we get into some of the character specifics. You see Ragna's move layout is as is. It looks like Persona BlazBlue characters, what was their 5As now has the input of 4A, which I thought was pretty crazy. That you have to hold back and press A to get what used to be the 5A, and it looks like Ragna's 5A is what is currently his 5B in BlazBlue, and for Jin this is the same. It looks like their weak attack, or their 5A in this game, like correlates to what their 5B is in BlazBlue, and I thought that's very interesting. And we see just this auto combo route here. You see that Ragna's auto combo route is 5B, 5C, 6C, or at least that's what it is in BlazBlue. In this game, you just get it by mashing 5A. By mashing 5B, you get what is in BlazBlue 6A, which obviously does not function the same in this game, into 5D, 22C. I believe we see this in the Ruby gameplay trailer. 2A is 2B. It looks like for the most part, the BlazBlue A moves have been taken out of the game, except for like 5A and Ragna's 6A in particular, because I think like Jin's 5B in this game is what used to be his 5C. Let me check that and see if that's true. He doesn't have a lot of notes on anyone like besides Ragna, but I think it's worth looking at. Yeah, he doesn't have what Jin's 5A or 5B in this game equates to, but I think it's 5C. And I think that auto combo route may be 5C, 6C, 2D for Jin's B1, but that's just speculation because I have not actually played the game. Ragna has access to what is in BlazBlue. His 2B is 5A, his 3C by pressing 2B. And it looks like they just rearranged his aerial normals. What in BlazBlue is BCD is in this game ABC. So basically they just took out the A moves and gave him that as his aerial moveset. And his sweep in this game is actually not 2B, which is what the sweep is in BlazBlue, but it's 2C, which is what in BlazBlue is his 2D. And yeah, he says Inferno Divider is the DP. We know this. He says that he's not sure if it's only on counter hit, but as I've analyzed, it is, of course, universal. Like, it doesn't have to be counter hit to get the knockdown. He has Hell's Fang and follow-up. He has like 3 versions of Dead Spike, like I've said. Bilial Edge, Blood Scythe is an EX move. These are his assists. And then his information's on like the rest of the characters. It like isn't as diverse as his stuff about Ragna. You can tell that this man plays Ragna. This is all of Jin's normals and stuff. But I won't go on any further about all the character specifics because, like, I just basically went over Ragnas to get you a general idea of how the game works. If you want to look into more of the character specifics and how they relate to their in this game in regards to their own games, then I will link you to the Twitter of the person who posted this in the description, and then you can click on this, and then you can, oh man, what am I trying to say? It's been a long day, and then you can like click on this doc and look at it for yourself. So that's all of the, I believe that that's all of the BlazBlue Cross news that has come up over the past few days. It's been an absolute lot. I knew I would have a lot to cover, but now that the game has been played initially for the first time, and we got all of the first impressions out of the way and all of the mechanics and discovering, we won't have as much info all coming in at once. From now on, it's just going to be more or less character reveal trailers and character specifics for the newer characters as they come into the game. So I'll keep you posted on all this news, and let's all look forward to this game. I'm hype as crap about it. I mean, the very fact that I was able to talk as long as I did proves that I'm hype as heck about it. Toward the end, I probably bored the heck out of y'all just reading off this crap, but hey, it's BlazBlue Cross. Like, I'm effing excited. So, thank you all for watching. I won't keep you here any longer. Tell me what you think in the comments. I'd love to talk with you all about this game. This game's hype as crap. So for now, this is Razzle48 saying goodbye, and I will see you next time.